Welcome to Honestly Rated, and today we'll be taking a look at your favorite panda bear, Fist Bump. Fist Bump is a trap team core that I don't hear much about, and today I'm here to figure out if that is for the reasons of maybe he has an overall bad design and gameplay, or maybe for the opposite, maybe he has a completely, utterly beautiful design and gameplay that maybe just not a lot of people are picking up on. But before we go into the actual gameplay, I do want to talk about his lore. So how did Fist Bump become a Skylander in Skylands? Well, it all started while he was hibernating in a place called the Bumbling Bamboo Forest. And with that, he got awoken by a bunch of purple greebles trying to make their home base around and destroying everything with their machines. With that, he decides that he was going to punch the ground angrily because he was so angry, and it basically knocks down every single machine of theirs and they run off scared. With that, I don't know, Terrafin somehow gets the news that this happened. I don't know, maybe he was hoping the Greebles to share up some of that land, but he saw it happen. Decides to go to Eon and be like, hey, this guy over here, he can really punch that ground. And Eon's like, yep, that's enough. Sends a letter, I guess, or talks to him, and now he's part of the team. So, nice job, Fist Bump. I feel like I've heard that exact type of, story, though, from a different Skylander I've rated. It feels very similar, but whatever. The stories are not really what we're here for. It's for the actual Skylanders themselves. Also, a reminder that if you want to see your Skylander on Honestly Rated next, you gotta do one simple step. That is just leaving a comment and saying, this is the Skylander. And guess what? You got a ticket chance of potentially being in the next Honestly Rated video. And if it's not the next one, I promise you, I will get to it at some point in life because I am planning to go through every single Skylander as it goes. And if you don't know which Skylanders I've already done, there is a playlist on my channel for you to check. And it gets updated every Saturday because that's when I post an Honestly Rated every Saturday. So, with all that said and done now, time to jump into Fist Bump's moveset and see if he can really make a shocking entry. Starting us off, we have Panda Pound and Fault Line Slam. These two moves honestly give you the whole game plan of Fist Bump. But first, let me explain what the moves are. Panda Pound is him punching the ground. Just like his lore said, he's going to be punching that ground angrily. And with that, he does pretty solid damage. For a melee character, he's doing 34 damage. And I like that. You really gotta have some meaty claws with him. And even with that too, he has a pretty speedy punch. So you're doing these, you're clocking him in every second, maybe like 60 damage. That's pretty fucking good. And just to even boost his damage even more, Fault Line Slam is a direct supporter of his basic attack. What this allows you to do is slam the ground even harder than you already were. And if any enemies are close, we'll knock them back. And it will create a walk wall, I guess I would say, on the ground, a walk line. And every time you punch the ground after that, it will spike up the ground doing 13 damage at level 12. Now, even though it's not a lot of damage, that's still added damage. And since you're probably punching the guy you probably just slammed in the face, yeah, that's a lot of damage. That's almost probably 40-ish damage. I can't do math because, I don't know, I don't like doing math. But still, two very good moves. They work off each other, obviously very great just because they kind of need to be. It's like the whole thing about them. And there's nothing really to criticize. But Fist Bump's whole game plan, if I had to guess by this time, would be based on his lines. I'm guessing a lot of these upgrades are going to be based around him getting a bunch of lines going and just slamming the ground and doing a bunch of damage to everything around him. That's my game plan, and honestly, I don't see a problem with that. I really like it. But we still have his special move, which comes directly after this, so let's see how this could add into the game plan. Let me sum up this move very quickly. Seismic Slide is a very useless move that doesn't do anything of use. Why? Well, Seismic Slide is a slide that puts down a rock wall on the ground and pushes back subtly if you hit him. Now, those two things that he has to his name are the exact same as the Slam. The Slam pushes back enemies and puts down a rock wall. Now, the speed of Fist Bump is not very fast, but it's not slow. So I really think that this shove push isn't really going to get you out of any situation, especially because it has a pretty nice startup time where you probably will get hit if you're trying to use this from getting away from an enemy. You're probably just better jumping and walking away. So yeah, this is not good. And just for any Skylander in general, for their next move, their last move that is supposed to be very unique, to be basically a copy and paste of a move we already have, but a slight deformation that doesn't add anything to the conversation, is very bad. So, Fist Bump, you had high hopes, but now we're taking a dive. Our pool just got drained of all its water. So I'm hoping that the next upgrades can do a lot bit better. Maybe this is just a basic upgrade at first, and then later gets better type deal. But yeah, not great. so far. Next up, we have Panquake and Hold the Line. And these two don't actually upgrade our little shove that we learned before, but actually bring up another point that I haven't brought up yet about Fist Bump, and that is his ground attack, or his air attack, you might say. And the reason being is that it is unique in a sense that it's not actually him punching the ground in the sky, because you know what? That does make 0 sense. Instead, he turns himself into a little bit of a ball, lands on the ground, and does little seismic pulses on the ground, which sometimes do multiple layers of damage to an enemy. Usually they don't. They usually just hit for one time. And with it now, we can now create fault lines with it. So we have 3 moves now that create fault lines: the slam, the ground slam, or air attack slam, and our little dash. And I really do wonder why they just don't let these 3 be something different. I feel like if you were to allow me to use the shoulder, the dash, and the slam as 3 different fault lines and have their own little expiration date, or maybe make the expiration date a little bit longer, you could be pretty nice, because then you would have 3 separate lines of damage. But no, they all get canceled out if you do different lines, and it really does suck, because I feel like that could have added to the character. So the ground pound thing, it can be semi-beneficial. I don't like it. I think you're still doing more damage if you just do a slam and then start punching the ground, because even in groups, I don't think a ground pound or the slide are going to help you more than just doing the basic 1-2 combo of punching ground and doing a slam. It just doesn't help in the slightest. But other than that, the other things that this actually upgrades is we get to make little rock diblets in the ground every time we punch, so nice little added bit of damage. It's kind of like adding more of a line, like another line to it if you punch often enough, but you know, it's still not what I'm asking for directly. We're getting close to that, and then the line itself is now longer just because it can be now. So cool. I guess it can deal more damage to more bigger groups of enemies, but I don't really think that really was a problem. So it's not really a big deal. Last thing before we go into paths is don't bump Fist Bump, and this is another move that doesn't upgrade to our shoulder dash. Wow. What this instead does allows us to activate our spike walls every time we get hit. So if you got enemies, you got spike wall, you're standing in spike wall, you're getting pummeled to death, those walls will maybe help you. It's not that big of a deal though, and it only activates, you know, once. It's not like a infinite hit glitch right there. It's not like it activates every time you get hit. It activates once, and then when it resets, hits again. It's whatever. I have nothing else to say. Okay, so from after looking through that rocky start of a primary path, we're finally onto the top path, with Fault Lines in the Glass House and Quake and Bake being our first 2. Some crazy ass names right there, I won't lie. And these 2 upgrades, and this whole path in general, is based on damage. How much damage can we do from a singular line? And their answer is a lot. So Quake and Bake just gives us cooler spikes and does a little bit more damage. It's doing roughly 24, and our little tiny baby ones are now doing like 12. Like the ones that come out of our fist. And then the Glass House one allows us to throw rocks, which is, honestly, I really do enjoy that name of it. But it's pretty cool. They do roughly 15 damage and 1, so 16. I don't know why they make me do math for that one, but they do. And it's pretty cool. They only come out of the lines, so our little hand ones that we throw out don't actually throw out the rocks. At least I'm sure of it. I was looking over the footage I recorded for all this, and I literally never saw a single case of them actually throwing it, unless I'm just blind. So take that with a grain of salt, because maybe I am full of it, and I'm just, I don't know. Again, I guess I'm blind, but I'm pretty sure they don't. And with that, they're solid 2 upgrades. I don't know what else to really say. Last thing we have to look at for the top path is a boulder, and it allows us to throw boulders out of our spike walls. Now, let me just say something now about these paths, at least this path in general. It feels very uncanny, and I don't know why, but Fist Bump has felt like this from after we got the shoulder dash, to the point where I'm like, it feels really weird. And the reason being is, like, every single upgrade so far has been semi towards the whole rock wall lining thing, but not in the way I would expect it, right? Like I told myself already, like, it's gonna be based around, like, throwing out these walls like crazy, and yet there's no upgrade to, like, just his pan and punch in general, like just dealing more damage, I guess, unless you want to consider the little rock things on the ground. And then the dash has never been mentioned, like Voldemort's name. It is honestly kind of insane, and I don't know why it puts me in like a weird setting, but it is something I do want to mention. The boulders themselves come out actually as a separate entity than the rocks, and I definitely thought it was just gonna be an upgrade, but it's not. And when I went into superchargers just to like check out a dummy and see how much the damage actually did, it said 70 fucking 2. And now I don't know if that was a crit or not, but it happened like 3 times in a row, so it's doing a lot of damage when it does hit. And it looks like that time was like 66, so maybe it was a crit, but it actually does solid damage. It does feel like the rocks come out a little bit quicker now because of it, but that just might be just be a me thing, and maybe I just wasn't really looking enough. But yeah, it's, I guess, kind of a cool thing. It does add more damage, but again, the problem I'm having right now is just like, I don't know, it's just like I want to see a little bit like a variety of upgrades. I get this is like the whole fault line thing, but still. Okay, on to the next one, on to the bottom path, which hopefully deals with the other 2 moves that we have in our arsenal. On to Bamboo Bonanza with our first upgrade, Healing Bamboo, that deals with fault lines. Okay. No upgrade towards the fist or shoulder thing. Okay, all right. Well, this move in general is still good, even though it's dealing with the fault lines again, and it's not a direct something that I've been thinking of. It's still good. It allows us to throw it every single time. Every single time we throw out a fault line, we get bamboo, right? And we can heal from it now. We get 15 HP per bamboo, and even though in situations like while fighting people, it's still pretty good. If you take it out of like a battle situation, so let's say you just did some mean fighting and you took a lot of damage, you could just sit somewhere and just start throwing out these walk walls and eating all the bamboo from it, and you get to full back into HP. That's super cool. It's actually a really strong one. It's not even based off of like doing something towards an enemy. A lot of the health stuff usually is tended to be like, do this to an enemy and then you get health from it. But no, this is just like his move. So you can get a lot of fucking health and you can just do it anytime at a whim. So that's actually pretty cool. Still don't like how it's a fault line. Let's see if the other 2 moves can maybe, I don't know, benefit. Alright, Bamboo Harvest and Jump Forward being our last 2. Deal with the fault lines again and actually involve the bamboo itself. So every time we do a jump attack, now it's quicker. It says it creates an extra line or a new line. I don't know what that entirely means since we could make a line already without it. I don't know if that means it makes 2. I don't really see it. Sometimes I've seen it do 2, but other than that, no. I don't really see it split it off into 2 and stuff. It's a really awkward upgrade, that one is, the jump forward one. And then our harvest one explodes the bamboo, which is, it sounds good in general, but bamboo isn't guaranteed to pop up on every single rock, so it's kind of if you get lucky or not. I don't know. But the main thing I do actually want to come off of is like every single upgrade we have seen since the literal first one have all been upgrades, and they're all been upgrades to the fault line. And I guess you can debate me on being like, well, for one, it does upgrade the jump attack, which okay, I guess, but it's directly upgrading towards the fault lines themselves. And you can also say like the little like Hershey's Kiss rock we put on the ground is upgraded, the Panda Punch one, which again, a Panda Pounding, whatever you want to say. Like again, I guess technically, but it does, the thing that's upgrading is to be more like the fault lines. And again, I understood like this was gonna be his like game plan to make all these lines, but a lot of these are making lines that I can't like accumulatively use. Fistbump felt like a character that was gonna be able to accumulatively use all these lines at once and just make like the ground field a walking mine, and where you just punch, you basically hit almost everything. But it was almost that, but it just like I don't know how to feel about it. It's just I guess I'll come with everything at the summary page. Let's just go on to the last thing. Now time to talk about riding the rails. This is a move that instantly makes both paths very good. This allows us just to walk, and we get to place down our little rocks on the ground, or faults, I guess. I guess I always saw them as rocks, but apparently they're faults. At least that's what they keep saying they are. And it can also make walking lines, or fault lines that we've been making with basically every move that we do now. And with that, that's pretty fucking insane. This is my end goal place that I expected Fistbump to be, but all of it accumulated to one upgrade. Because I felt like the other paths didn't do that. They didn't really accumulate to making a bunch of lines and making a bunch of rocks everywhere like I thought they would. or at least a certain path would, but it all really just came up to this one soul gem, and it does elevate both paths in both ways because now there's just more lines to throw more shit out of. Either you're getting more bamboo to get healed quicker, or you're just throwing out a bunch of rocks everywhere, which is dealing damage to everybody and killing everybody before they can kill you. It really doesn't matter. It's a very good soul gem for a character. Like, this is very basic in a sense, where it's nothing like crazy or cool, but it's extremely strong in the presence of everything else. But, yeah, this is a very questionable character, but now we go on to the rating where I finally come up with my mind of what I'm going to give this guy, because honestly, I'm honestly more just in the, I don't know where to be, honestly. I won't lie to you guys. This is the hardest honestly rated video I've ever made. Because for most Skylanders, when they come to upgrades and overall design, there's a lot of pinpoints that can lead to a decision of mine, right? Usually at the end of it all, after trying out every move and just kind of seeing where they could have went with a character, normally I can be like, okay, they did everything they could do, or I don't feel like they did enough and usually made a character less of what they could have been. But this character, I honestly think you could give this guy a score of anything. A 1 out of 5, a 2 out of 5, a 3 out of 5, a 4 out of 5, a 5 out of 5. And I could be like, you know what? Yeah, I could see that. Personally for me, I'm going to give him a 3 because he is so equally mid, where I think his bad to good ratio literally equals out. It absolutely puts him in the absolute triangle of mid. And I'll explain it right now, but it's probably going to be a semi-long one, I won't lie. So, the things that I don't like about him is that I don't like how the slide is pretty boring. I don't think that adds at all. I still don't think it adds at anything. A lot of the upgrades upgraded to the fault lines, which I guess you can also take to a good, because of that, he made a pretty fun character at the end because of the soul gem. The soul gem is very good. What else is kind of bad about him? I just don't like how without that soul gem, he wouldn't feel complete. If that soul gem didn't exist, right? If we live in a hypothetical world where that soul gem didn't exist, he would have been maybe a 2 to a 1. With that soul gem, his game plan was complete, and I find both a pass, even though they're equally pretty boring in what they have because they just upgrade the fault lines, work really well with each other. And with that too, I find them to be equal. I find you could pick either path and be like, yeah, I like to play this one. Yeah, I like this one. It's depending on whatever playstyle you like, and that's something I like to do. So, I can't say it's bad, but I can't say they were good. Everything just like added to be a character that was so equally middle that I just couldn't figure out where I put him. And that's why I'm going to put him at a 3. But honestly, for this one, it is up to the eye of the beholder, they say. That's what it is. The eye of the beholder. If you're a person that doesn't really care about design and just likes his overall game plan of just putting out these lines because of the soul gem and all the upgrades adding to just be a very strong character, he's a 5 in your eyes. I would bet you a 4 to a 5. But if you like to take in design wise and take out like where like he could have been better and other things, and how he really doesn't utilize all of his moves and upgrades don't really add anything to them, I could definitely see it being a 1 to a 2 because they just don't do anything with him with the panda punchers, the panda pounders, pause, and the slide. They don't do anything with that in general. So it's really up to you guys. You guys tell me, what would you give Fist Bump out of a 1 to a 5 rating? Are you a person that likes everything? You could. I don't know. But for me, it's going to be a 3 out of 5 because he is the yin and yang of a Skylander tier list. If I were to make a tier list at the end of this all for honestly rated, he would have to be in the middle. I don't know if there's equal amount of Skylanders. I don't give a fuck. He's getting to the closest as equals ever because he is equally as bad as he is equally as good. But with that, that's my rating. That is honestly rated for Fist Bump. Probably the most confusing character I might have had a rank yet. Just because of how equally bad and good he was. But next Saturday, another honestly rated. Leave down in the comments below who you want to see next. Check out my playlist if you don't know which ones I've already done or you want to see more. Other than that, I hope to see you next time. And hopefully with an easier Skylander to rank, I won't lie. Peace.